Very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1 live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Bringing you the news, I'm Jadardin.
And I'm Piruli Karnarotna. Here are tonight's top stories. Tariff relief for several Sri Lankan exports, including garments and food items from the United Kingdom. Discussions continue to further reduce 30% tariff imposed by the USA. Budget to provide new vehicles for field officers, says President. Urgent steps to fill public sector vacancies also planned. Former Minister Rajitha unreachable. Bribery Commission seeks court warrant for arrest. 237,000 students qualify for advanced level. 13,392 obtain 9 A's.
And on to those stories in detail. In your top story this evening, the UK has decided to open its doors to Sri Lankan goods with a zero tariff trade upgrade.
Sri Lanka is set to benefit from a major upgrade to the United Kingdom's Developing Countries Trading Scheme, or DCTS, which will simplify import procedures and allow tariff-free access for a wider range of Sri Lankan goods. Announced on the 10th of July, the reforms aim to make it easier for developing countries to trade with the United Kingdom while offering British consumers access to competitively priced imports from garments and food to electronics. The changes are expected to support jobs and economic growth in partner nations, including Sri Lanka. A key feature of the upgrade is the simplification of rules of origin, allowing Sri Lankan products to enter the UK tariff-free, even when they include components sourced from other countries across Asia and Africa. They also ensure countries such as Bangladesh and Cambodia continue to benefit with zero tariffs on products like garments and electronics. This move is designed to strengthen supply chains and encourage investment in emerging markets. The UK government hosted a joint reception in London, bringing together British business leaders and ambassadors from around the world to brief them on the new measures. The DCTS, launched in June 2023, has already delivered over £16 billion in tariff savings on UK imports. In addition to the tariff relief, the UK will offer targeted support to help exporters meet import standards and expand access to services trade, including digital, legal and financial services through future trade agreements. Major UK retailers such as M&S and Primark are expected to benefit from the reforms, which are part of the UK's broader trade for development strategy aimed at fostering global partnerships and economic growth. In 2024, Sri Lanka exported goods worth $903.72 million to the United Kingdom. Among the main products exported were apparel products. This included women's clothing valued at $197 million, women's and men's underwear valued at $130 million, and baby clothes valued at $127.69 million. The value of men's clothing exported to the UK is $91.12 million, with $50 million earned from t-shirt exports and $21 million from sportswear exports. The Sri Lanka Apparel Exporters Association says the opportunity received from the UK will contribute to the progress of Sri Lanka's apparel industry.
The announcement today by the UK of the changes to their Developing Countries Trading Scheme is incredibly beneficial for Sri Lanka. The relaxation on the rules of origin will allow Sri Lankan companies to manufacture apparel using a much wider range of fabric sources, and this apparel will continue to remain duty-free into the UK. Prior to this, the utilization of the UK scheme was only around 50%. With these changes, it will allow us to make better use of the scheme, delivering benefits to jobs, employment, and securing the future of the industry, and ensuring that we keep the UK as a major market for the country.
What will happen to the US tariff now that relief has come from the United Kingdom? Following a letter from US President Donald Trump to President Anurukumara Dissanayake the day before yesterday, the reciprocal tariff of 44% on goods exported from Sri Lanka to the US has now been reduced to 30%. Deputy Minister of Finance Professor Anil Jayantha Fernando stated today that discussions are ongoing to finalize a trade agreement with the US and further reductions are being explored through continued diplomatic engagement. engagement. The new tariff rates are expected to take effect on the 1st of August, as per the official communication from the US President.
Among the 25 countries to which the courtesy letters were sent, Sri Lanka has received the greatest overall relief. Ours was originally 44%. No other country received such relief. For some, the rates have even increased. For example, Brazil's rate was raised from 10 to 50%. So our position, our policy is to continue the discussions we have maintained in order to strengthen our trade relations. If we do not reach an agreement by the 1st August, the 30% tariff will be enforced. What we are trying to do is to continue the bilateral discussions we have been engaged in and make efforts at the diplomatic level to further reduce this rate. That is our hope.
මේ අනුපාත අඩු කර ගැනීමේ උත්සාහය තමයි අපි රාජතාන්ත්‍රික මට්ටමින් සිදු කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ කරු නියෝජ්‍ය කතානායකතුමනි.
අත වශයෙන් මේ අඩු කිරීම හොඳයි.
Of course, this reduction is good. I'm not saying that it isn't, but it should be not viewed only as a reduction from 44 to 30%. One must also consider how Sri Lanka has fared compared to other countries that compete with US in exports to the United States. If you look at it that way, Japan has received a 25% rate, Moldova 25%, South Korea 25%, Kazakhstan 25%, India 26%. Since our exports are price sensitive, even a slight change in cost could make us lose the market.
The interpretations presented by the opposition are very contradictory. We've seen cases where some have claimed, despite all efforts, this is all we achieved diplomatically. Others are appreciating the same result. So, there is no consistent view. That is your opinion. But in this global context, this is not something that can be achieved with just phone calls or attending parties. The United States is in contact with all countries around the world regarding this trade policy. The results we achieved, having our rate reduced from 44 to 30%, is due to our excellent diplomatic engagement. That's how we secured the biggest concession. Also, you mentioned India received a 26% rate, but in reality, India has not yet received a courtesy letter. What you referred to is the previously calculated general average rate. The trade ratio difference between exports and imports was 26%. So that figure still stands. Ours was 44%, which we have now reduced to 30%.
මේ පිළිබඳව දැන් alert එකක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා එක මාධ්‍යායතනකින්. The UK has introduced new trade measures including liberalized rules of origin for garments, allowing Sri Lankan apparel and other goods to enter the UK market tariff free, boosting trade and economic growth. British High Commission එකෙන් දැම්ම කියලා තමයි මේ මාධ්‍යායතනෙ දාලා තිබෙන්නේ.
This was published citing the British High Commission. Also, we've seen that some countries have been granted a lower tariff policy by the US than us. But in some of those cases, significant concessions were given to the US in return. For example, some have brought aircraft worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So when something good is achieved, at least if it's of a certain quality, it deserves appreciation. These things happen due to the immense effort of our officials. Likewise, our trade organizations, manufacturing organizations, they too work hard for these matters. So instead of consultancy being negative or saying if we were there, we would have just gone to Trump's house, had a tea and fixed it. Let's not turn this into class-based banter. If these matters can be resolved at a national level, that's a good thing.
මේක ජාතික වශයෙන් කතා කරලා ඉගෙන ගන්න ලැබෙනවා නම් හොඳයි.
ඉන්දියාවට වගේ අපිට තරකාරී
If countries like India, who are our competitors, receive lower tariff rates, it will directly or indirectly affect our entire nation, especially at a time when we are in a very vulnerable economic position. I urge that proper attention be paid to this matter.
This is not a problem between Sri Lanka and the United States. This is part of a general trade policy formulated by the United States with regard to global trade. The percentages you mentioned were determined through individual country negotiations and then applied using a general formula. That formula is based on the trade balance, meaning the difference between exports and imports with each country. It's simple arithmetic. Divide one by the other. So it's not like they randomly decided India gets 26% and Sri Lanka 44%. That's how it came about. This was the status up to the 9th July. While that was in place, countries entered discussions. We were one of the countries that led those discussions. That's why we kept saying we have been engaged in uninterrupted negotiations. As a result of those efforts, 25 countries received courtesy letters out of around 100 countries globally. we are among those 25. And even among them, we secured the highest reduction, down from the previously set 44% to 30%. That is what should be appreciated. We are trying to make full use of the current situation, leverage the information correctly and enter into formal agreements. As such, we have 2 to 3 weeks left before the 1st August. Once again, I emphasize reducing this from 44 to 30% is extremely favorable. We are also asking towards reducing it further and preparing to reach a bilateral agreement.
අඩු කරගෙන ද්විපාර්ශ්වික එකඟතාවයකට එන්න කටයුතු සූදානම් කරමින් තියෙනවා.
US President Donald Trump said he will raise taxes on many imported goods from Canada to 35%, deepening a rift between two North American countries that have suffered a debilitating blow to their decades-old alliance. The letter to Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is an aggressive increase to the top 25% tariff rates that Trump first imposed in March after months of threats. US President Donald Trump's latest tariffs on Canada were allegedly in an effort to get Canada to crack down on fentanyl smuggling, despite the relatively modest trafficking in the drug from that country. Trump has also expressed frustration with the trade deficit with Canada that largely reflects oil purchases by America. The higher rates would go into effect on the 1st of August, creating a tense series of weeks ahead for the global economy, as recent gains in the S&P 500 stock index suggest many investors think Trump will ultimately back down on the increases. While multiple countries have received tariff letters this week, Canada, America's second largest trading partner after Mexico, has become something of a foil to Trump. It has imposed retaliatory tariffs on US goods and pushed back on the president's taunts of making Canada the 51st state. Mexico has also faced 25% tariffs because of fentanyl, yet it has not faced the same public pressure from Trump. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said his government would continue to protect Canadian workers and businesses as they worked towards the new deadline. In his response on X, Carney said Canada had made essential progress to stop the scourge of fentanyl in North America and that his government was committed to continuing to work alongside the US to protect communities in both countries. The Indian Commerce Ministry team is set to visit Washington soon for another round of talks with the United States over the ongoing tariff dispute and a proposed bilateral trade agreement. The dates for the visit are yet to be confirmed, but the team is likely to visit Washington next week. During the upcoming visit, discussions will focus on both the interim and first phase of the bilateral trade agreement. India and the United States have been holding talks for several months, aiming to finalize the first phase of a bilateral trade deal by September to October. India aims to secure enhanced market opportunities in the US for its workforce-driven sectors, particularly textiles and electronics. The US, in return, seeks permission to export genetically modified crops and cattle feed to India, which remains a delicate matter for the Indian government. Earlier this week, Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru said that it is truly deplorable that the US government has announced an increase in tariff rates in addition to the tariffs already imposed. The Japanese Prime Minister instructed the government to work together on the tariff issue with the highest priority towards the newly set August 1st deadline. Trump said in a letter that a 25% tariff will be imposed on products imported from Japan to the US and warned that he will further raise the tariff if Japan retaliates. A Japanese government source said that the letter showed no enthusiasm for serious discussions toward an agreement. Sources related to the Japan-US tariff negotiations said that the worst-case scenario of tariffs being raised during the Japan's upper house election has been averted. However, efforts to lower auto tariffs will continue. Brazilian President Lula da Silva said that he will impose retaliatory tariffs on the US if President Trump follows through on a pledge to boost import taxes by 50% over the South American country's criminal trial against his predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro. Lula said that he will trigger Brazil's reciprocity law approved by the Congress earlier this year if negotiations with the US fail. In Brazil's case, Trump is trying to dictate the outcome of this criminal trial of Bolsonaro, an ally who, like Trump, has been charged with attempting to overturn a presidential election. Bolsonaro maintains that he is being politically persecuted by Brazil's Supreme Court over his charges on the alleged plot to remain in power after his 2022 election loss to Lula. Lula ordered his diplomats to return Trump's letter if it physically arrives at the presidential palace in Brasilia.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has reaffirmed Russia's commitment to its long-standing partnership with Sri Lanka, describing the island nation as a reliable partner in South Asia with a deep and positive history of bilateral relations. On the 10th July, on the sidelines of ministerial events held under the auspices of ASEAN in Kuala Lumpur, Russia Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met his Sri Lankan counterpart Vijita Herath.
Mr. Minister, it's nice to make your acquaintance. Sri Lanka is our old, reliable partner in South Asia, and the relations have a deep and positive history, which we would like to promote as an example for the future. And thank you very much for your message in October last year, where you expressed your interest in getting closer to BRICS. We welcome this and will certainly be ready to join consensus on this occasion. Welcome once again.
Yes, thank you very much for you giving this opportunity. I think Sri Lanka and Russia has been continuing our bilateral relationship for a long time, and so most of Sri Lankan students are studying in Russia, and most of Sri Lankan are working in Russia.
90% of women are harassed, and women and girls are harassed in public transport in our buses and trains.
That's a very alarming number.
It's alarming, but to many women it's 100%.
Lot of women say going to office and coming back and the harassment in buses is too much.
Prioritizing crucial conversations. This is Leaving No One Behind. This Sunday at 8 p.m. on TV1. Welcome back. President Anurukumara Dissanayake announced today in Hambantota that steps will be taken through the upcoming budget to provide new vehicles to government officials engaged in field duties, including divisional secretaries. The president further stated that immediate action will be taken to fill existing vacancies in the public sector following the conclusion of a review conducted by a committee appointed under the leadership of the Prime Minister.
The Hambantota District Coordinating Committee meeting, chaired by President Anurukumara Dissanayake, was held this morning at the District Secretariat Auditorium. Co-chairs of the meeting, Southern Province Governor Bandula Harishchandra and MP Nihal Galapatti, along with several ministers and government officials, participated in the discussions.
ගුරුවරු 700 ගන්නක හිගයක් තියෙනවා. මට කියන්න ළමයි 50ට වඩා අඩු ඉස්කෝලේ කීයක් තියෙනවද?
24.
ඒකේ ගුරුවරු කීයක් ඉන්නවද?
ඒකේ සංඛ්‍යාව ගණනය කළා නෑ.
ඉතින් කොහොමද ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තරයක් හොයන්නේ? ප්‍රශ්නවලට උත්තර ඉවට හොයන්න බෑ. හැඟීම් වලට හොයන්න බෑ. ප්‍රශ්නවලට උත්තරයක් හොයන්න නම් අපි ගාව ඉතා හොඳ දත්ත පද්ධතියක් තියෙන්න ඕන. ඒ දත්ත විශ්ලේෂණය කළා තමයි අපි පිළිතුරු හොයාගන්න ඕනකම තියෙන්නේ. මේ පාසල් ගැන නැවත සමාලෝචනය කරලා අපි අත්‍යවශ්‍ය පාසල්ට උපරිම පහසුකම් දෙමින් ළමයිටත් අවශ්‍ය පහසුකම් හදන්න.
The president also addressed the allocation of land for development projects in Hambantota.
විශේෂ ව්‍යාපෘති වලට කොච්චර ඉඩම් දීලා තියෙනවද?
ගොඩ මඩ සාමාන්‍ය ගොවීන් සඳහා බෙදා දීපු ඉඩම් වලට අමතරව හෙක්ටාර් 2716ක් ව්‍යාපෘති සඳහා ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා විවිධ ව්‍යාපෘති කාර්යයන් සඳහා.
ව්‍යාපෘති කීයක සඳහාද දීලා තියෙන්නේ?
සෝට ව්‍යාපෘති 57ක් සඳහා අනුමැතියෙන් දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒකෙන් මේ වෙනකොට දීර්ඝකාලීන බදු යටතේ ව්‍යාපෘති 7ක් ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම දීර්ඝකාලීන බදු අනුමැතිය දීලා මෙතෙක් සංවර්ධන කටයුතු ක්‍රියාත්මක නොකර තියෙන ඒවා 17ක් තියෙනවා. තව 5ක් මේ වෙනකොට අනුමැතිය ලබා දීලා සංවර්ධන කටයුතු ආරම්භ කරලා තියෙනවා. 30ක් මේ වෙනකොට සම්පූර්ණයෙන් අනුමැතියෙන් දීලා තියෙනවා.
34ක් තමයි මොකක් හරි මට්ටමක තියෙන්නේ. ඉඩම ගත්තු කෙනාම තමයි මේ ව්‍යාපෘතිය ආරම්භ කරන්න කියලා මැනීමක් තිබුණාද අපිට? අපි එයා අපිට ඇවිල්ලා ව්‍යාපෘති වාර්තාවක් දෙනවා නේද? ව්‍යාපෘති වාර්තාව අනුව අපි යට ඉඩම නිදහස් කරනවා. නෑ මේක අපි දන්නවනේ සැඟවුණු කතාවක් තියෙනවනේ අපි කවුරුත් දන්න නේද? ඒ කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ ලයිසන් එක ගන්නවා එතනින්, ඉඩම ගන්නවා මෙතනින්. ලයිසන් එකයි ඉඩමයි ඒගොල්ලෝ විකුණනවා. ලයිසන් එක අපේ රොයල්ටි එකක්, ඉඩම අපේ රොයල්ටි එකක්. ඒක අපි වෙන කෙනෙකුට දීලා එයා තමයි ඒ රොයල්ටි එකේ වටිනාකම ගන්න එක දීලා මේකනේ සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක තමයි මම හිතන්නේ තියෙන ගැටලුව.
The president also commented on broader issues facing the public service, including staff shortages.
රජය ගැන ගත්තොත් හොඳට හිතන්න අපිට තියෙන නටබුන්නුණු රජයක්.
When we look at the government, what we have is a weakened system. Most vehicles used by state officials, including divisional secretaries, are 10 to 15 years old and in poor condition. Many government buildings are in disrepair. There's also a shortage of essential technical and professional officers. While some positions have been filled, there's a significant gap in the mid-level administrative tier. Our software and system infrastructure is outdated. That's why we've developed a plan to strengthen the public sector. One part of that plan is to significantly increase the salaries of government employees. Another is to provide new vehicles through the upcoming budget, especially for field-level officials like divisional secretaries. These old, broken-down vehicles can't serve their purpose anymore. We've already approved the recruitment of over 30,000 new staff, especially in technical and professional categories after 5 years. A committee has also been set up under the Prime Minister's office to review recruitment needs. Recommendations from that committee will soon be submitted to the Cabinet, enabling us to proceed with filling existing vacancies.
ඒතකොට අපිට මේ පුරප්පාඩු බඳව ගන්න පුළුවන්කම තියෙනවා.
Case file. The Colombo Permanent Trial at Bar today scheduled the 16th September as the day to formally serve indictments against former Health Minister Keheliya Rambukwala and 12 other defendants in connection with the alleged distribution of substandard vaccines within Sri Lanka's hospital system. The case was heard before a 3-judge bench comprising Mahen Veeraman, Amali Ranavira and Pradeep Aberatna.
On the 7th of July, the Colombo High Court issued summons for the defendants to appear in court to receive indictments. Only 10 of the 13 accused appeared in court today. The first defendant, Sudat Janaka Fernando, was absent as he is currently in remand custody on the orders of the Maligakanda Magistrates Court in connection with this case. The ninth defendant, who serves on the Evaluation Committee for Emergency Procurement, was also absent due to being overseas, as informed by his lawyer. Deputy Solicitor General Lakmini Girihagama, appearing for the Attorney General, informed the court that the indictments could not be served today as the annexures related to the case should be submitted. The Deputy Solicitor General informed the court that the annexures have not yet been printed or received and that the government printer has estimated the printing will cost over 800,000 rupees and take 21 days to complete. She informed the court that the annexures needed to be printed separately for each of the 12 accused, and due to the unavailability of the documents, the indictments could not be served today. Accordingly, Deputy Solicitor General Lakmini Girihagama requested that the case be called up again on a date set after 21 days. The Attorney General has filed indictments against 13 individuals, including former Health Minister Keheliya Rambukwala, for allegedly conspiring to misappropriate 1.444 billion rupees in public funds by supplying 6,195 vials of non-drug substances falsely claimed to be human immunoglobulin and rituximab to the Medical Supplies Division.
Case file. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption informed Colombo Additional Magistrate Harshana Kakunavala that former Fisheries Minister Rajitha Senaratne has been missing from his residence since the 26th of June. He has been named as a suspect in connection with a sand mining project at the Kirinda Fisheries Harbour, which was handed over to a Korean company, allegedly causing a loss of over 20 million rupees to the government. The Commission made this revelation while submitting a motion seeking an arrest warrant against the former minister. Court was also informed that Senaratne had repeatedly failed to appear before the Bribery Commission despite being issued several notices. The Commission noted that the former minister has continuously evaded giving a statement regarding the matter. In response, Magistrate Kakunavela inquired whether the Bribery Commission intended to submit any documents to court, such as the notice issued to the suspect or the medical certificate previously provided by Senaratne claiming he was unable to appear. Officials from the Commission responded that these documents were not currently in the possession of the complainant, as they had been included in the investigative file. Emphasizing the importance of presenting such documents in court, the magistrate stated that if Rajitha Senaratne is indeed a suspect in the case, the Bribery Commission is legally empowered to arrest and produce him before court without the need for a warrant. The magistrate further clarified that if a warrant is deemed necessary, the required documents must be submitted along with the formal request.
Case file.
The Colombo High Court has scheduled the 28th of July to hear the corruption case filed against former Labour and Public Relations Minister Mervyn Silva, who stands accused of maintaining millions of rupees worth of assets, vehicles and bank accounts beyond his lawful income. Although a pre-trial conference was scheduled for today, proceedings were postponed due to the absence of the presiding judge. Following the formal serving of the indictment on the 6th of June, the High Court judge granted bail and the accused was released on 2 surety bails of 5 million rupees each. Case file. The Colombo High Court has scheduled the 28th of July as the hearing date for the high-profile money laundering case filed against Yoshita Rajapaksa, son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, and his grandmother Desi Forrest. The case filed under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act accuses the two of unlawfully acquiring assets and property valued at approximately 73 million rupees. The Attorney General alleges that the wealth was obtained through means that violate financial transparency laws. Although a pre-trial conference was scheduled for today, proceedings were postponed due to the absence of the presiding judge.
Newsfirst with the people.
A debate took place in Parliament today over opposition members' allegations that containers were released without customs inspection. The Criminal Investigation Department has launched an inquiry into this matter and is currently recording statements from the opposition MPs who made these claims.
We don't have an issue with anyone here going to the Criminal Investigation Department, but what I'm saying is that this is related to something that MP Archana did within the premises of the Parliament. When he subsequently raised the question of privilege, he wasn't allowed to speak about it in Parliament. Now the Speaker has referred this matter to the Inspector General of Police, which is futile. That's what's happening here. So please don't try to strip away our rights. Opposition MPs stated, both inside and outside Parliament, that there were weapons in these containers. When information that impacts national security, information considered highly important is revealed, it is the role of the Criminal Investigation Department to summon these individuals and obtain information regarding this. Don't be afraid. Go and provide the information, then investigations can proceed.
ඒ වැදගත් කරුණු පිළිබඳව අපි තාම පැහැදිලිව මේ CID එකට කිව්වා. ඔව් ඔක්කොම කිව්වා. නෑ අවියායුධ ගැන මම කතා කරේ නෑ. අවියායුධ ගැන කතා කරේ මම නෙමෙයි. කතා කරේ රේගු නිලධාරීන්ගේ සංගමය. මේවා නිදහස් කරපු අය. ඔය ඉඳගෙන ඉන්නවා අපේ විමල් රත්නායක මහත්තයා නිදහස් කරා. ඊළඟට ඉන්නවා නියෝජ්‍ය ඇමති නිදහස් කරා. ඒ අයව ගෙනල්ලා කතා කරන්න. ඒ අයව ගෙනල්ලා කතා කරන්න.
සහ මුලින්ම ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරනවා.
I completely dismiss these claims. I have not released such containers from the customs, nor have I been involved in such matters. What they first said was based on something that was stated by the Customs Trade Union claiming that the governor of the Western Province was involved in this matter. Now they say that they did not say anything as such. Following that, they claim that I released these containers. If they say that it is me, the best thing that can be done is to go to every court possible and prove that it was me. When the Islamic community in the country came to me asking to pay demurrage on dates, I didn't even allow that. The Ministry of Cultural Affairs paid the duties and demurrage in full in order to release these from the customs. When you use parliamentary privileges to grab hold of fake news agencies to spread lies and then claim that there were weapons of Prabhakaran, these are important information, whether you say it within or outside parliamentary premises. What is the problem? If you're speaking the truth, then you must admit that what we said was false. If you lied, fine. Now either admit you lied or cooperate with the investigations. You have been caught for your cheap acts, so please don't waste the time of the parliament and turn these allegations towards us.
තුට්ටු දෙකේ වැඩ කළා දැන් අතේ මාට්ටු වෙලා අපිට ඒ විවේචන හරවන්නත් එපා පාර්ලිමේන්තුව කාලේ කන්නත් එපා කියලා මම ඉල්ලා
අපිට කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ මෙතුමා විරේ දාන්නවත් අපිට උමනාවක් නැහැ. අපිට උමනාව කරලා තිබුණේ මොකද ගරු රේගු අධ්‍යක්ෂක ජෙනරාල් තුමා නිකුත් කළ තියෙන නිවේදනයක් ඒකේ තියෙනවා
This parliament, which is broadcast live, isn't limited to just this chamber. When these people lie so much, it goes on television channels and people watch these. Instead of being afraid after you have lied, go and speak. Those who claim Prabhakaran's guns were being brought in and threatened national security are now afraid to go when the CID summons them. Why are you afraid? Go and deliver your statements. Tell these things outside.
A total of 237,260 students who sat the ordinary level examination have qualified to sit for the GCE advanced level examination. The Commissioner General of Examinations Indika Liyanage announced at a media briefing today at the Department of Examinations that out of 474,147 candidates who sat for the exam, 73.45% successfully passed.
මෙම විභාගයේදී සියලුම විෂයන් සඳහා ඒ සාමාන්‍ය ලැබූ ශිෂ්‍ය සංඛ්‍යාව 13392ක්. ඒක ප්‍රතිශතයක් වශයෙන් ගත් කල 4.15ක් ලෙස සඳහන් කරන්න පුළුවන්. විෂයන් වශයෙන් ගත් කල මෙවර සමත් ප්‍රතිශතය විශේෂයෙන්ම භාෂා විෂයන්ගේ වැඩිවීමක් පෙන්눔 කරනවා. මේ ඉතාමත්ම හොඳ ප්‍රවණතාවයක්.
This year the subject with the lowest passing rate is mathematics at 69.07%. Science recorded a pass rate of 71.06%, while history stood at 82.17%. The percentage of students who did not pass any subject is 2.34%.
Results by provinces.
The southern province recorded the highest pass rate with 75.64%. The western province followed closely with a pass rate of 74.47%, while the Sabaragamu province reported 73.44%. The northern province had the lowest pass rate at 69.86%. Other pass rates include 73.91% from the central province, 74.26% from the eastern province, and 71.47% from the northwestern province. The north central province reported a pass rate of 70.24%, and the Uva province recorded 73.14%.
Re-scrutiny.
The Department of Examinations announced that applications for result re-scrutiny will be accepted from 14th of July to 28th of July, providing students an opportunity to request a review of their marks.
When will the advanced level examinations be held?
Commissioner General of Examinations Indika Kumari Liyanage said that schedule for the 2025 GCE A-level examination will be held from 10th of November to 5th of December.
අයදුම් පත්‍ර කැඳවීම දැන් ආරම්භ කරලා තිබෙන්නේ. මේ මාසේ 21 වෙනිදායින් අයදුම් පත්‍ර කැඳවීම අවසන් කරනවා. 2025 නොවැම්බර් මාසේ 10 වෙනිදා සිට දෙසැම්බර් මාසේ 5 වෙනිදා දක්වා අපස උසස් පෙළ විභාගය පැවැත්වීමට කටයුතු අපි සූදානම් කරමින් පවතිනවා.
ඕලෙවල් විභාගයේ මේ වසර තුලම පැවැත්වෙනවද ඊළඟ ඕලෙවල් විභාගය?
පෙබරවාරි මාසේ පැවැත්වීමට තමයි කටයුතු සූදානම් කරලා තිබෙන්නේ.
The Lanka Tamil Arasu Katchi has sent a letter to President Anurukumara Disanayake emphasizing the need to uncover the truth, ensure international cooperation and uphold justice in the Chemmani mass grave investigations.
The Lanka Tamil Arasu Katchi has urged President Anurukumara Disanayake in a letter to take urgent and decisive action to uncover the truth, ensure that international standards are upheld in forensic investigations and bring the perpetrators to justice. In its letter to the President, the Lanka Tamil Arasu Katchi stresses that the search for truth must form the cornerstone of a meaningful process of transformative justice. It goes on to state that even after more than 16 years since the war ended in 2009, hundreds of Tamil families are still awaiting answers about the fate of their missing loved ones. The party highlights that the ongoing silence of successive governments is not only a political failure but also a grave moral injustice. It adds that with each passing year, without uncovering the truth, the nation's healing from the wounds of war is further delayed and unresolved questions continue to haunt affected families. The letter further states that given Sri Lanka's limited forensic capabilities and the judiciary's past lack of transparency in handling mass grave investigations, credible international oversight and the implementation of clear and transparent investigative processes are called for to ensure justice is served.
A tense situation unfolded today as Road Development Authority employees tried to remove street food stalls in Kimbulavala, Thalawathugoda.
The decision by the Road Development Authority employees to remove street food stalls was met with strong opposition from vendors.
මේවා කොහොමද ඉදිරියෙන් වෙන්නේ මේවා අපි තාප්ප ගාලා නැහනේ මේවා මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ජීවත් වෙන දේවල් මේවා මේ පෞල් කීයක් ජීවත් වෙනවද මේ වලින් මාර්ග සංවර්ධන අධිකාරියලා අයිතිය තියෙනවා හරිද එතකොට ඔයාලා කොහොමද මේ මාර්ග ගිනවද ඒගොල්ලෝ මේවා මාර්ග සංවර්ධන
Police arrived at the scene to maintain order. Several stalls were demolished and the remains were loaded onto a lorry. However, due to protests, the lorry was forced to turn back. Our Newsfirst correspondent reported that Road Development Authority employees had to halt the removal process. Following the incident, the employees left the area and the traders proceeded to the JVP head office in Palawatha to report what had happened.
දැන් නැවත බොට් ටික දාන රස්සාව කරන්න එපා. ගෙනියන්න දෙද වෙලයි. ඔව්.
We came here to hand over a letter. The shops were removed without any prior notice. We had already informed the president and he assured us that any action would be taken in a lawful manner without harming anyone. So our question is, why was this done so suddenly?
St. Benedicts College, Colombo celebrated its 160th anniversary today.
The 160th anniversary of St. Benedicts College, Colombo, one of the oldest Catholic schools in Sri Lanka, was celebrated today. The celebrations commenced with a special mass at St. Lucia's Cathedral. The 160th celebrations was graced by Reverend Brother Christoph Cruz, FSC, Provincial Visitor of LaSalle, South Asia District, Lasad.
We have nurtured critical thinking, spark creativity, championship, innovation, and empowered thousands to lead this with purpose. From humble beginning to remarkable achievements, our college has remained beacon of learning and leadership.
160 years ago, Benedictine monks laid the foundation of a school, and 3 years later handed it over to the De La Salle brothers, who would not only teach subjects but also shape souls, teaching mind, touching hearts, and by transforming lives. So this Jubilee today reminds you that you are a part of a grand story, one that began long ago, long before you, and it will continue years after. What chapter will you write in the history as you go on passing these 160 years? What chapter will you write in the history? Let St. Benedict's College not just be a place where you studied, but where you became the best version of yourself, rooted in religio, shaped by morals, and enriched by cultura. No celebrations of this scale happens without dedication, sacrifice, and teamwork. May this celebration bring all of us united under one umbrella, Religio Mores Cultura.
The official commemorative stamp of St. Benedict's College was ceremoniously unveiled at the event.
Up next is Corporate Brief.
The Wedding Show 2025 officially opened its doors today at the BMICH, drawing thousands of brides, grooms and wedding industry professionals. The event runs until the 13th of July. Several leading hotels and event planners were among those who had stalls at the Wedding Show 2025.
We are very excited to introduce the Weddings in the Sky concept by Cinnamon Life at City of Dreams to the Wedding Show. And when you speak about Weddings in the Sky, it's not just about a venue space or a wedding space. It's about the entire experience that we as the Weddings in the Sky team have to offer to you.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has reaffirmed Washington's unwavering commitment to the Indo-Pacific region.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has reaffirmed Washington's unwavering commitment to the Indo-Pacific region, declaring it the central focus of American foreign policy for the coming decades. Speaking during his first official visit to Asia since taking office, Rubio emphasized that the region's youth, economic dynamism and strategic importance make it impossible to ignore.
The Indo-Pacific region remains a focal point of U.S. foreign policy. When I hear in the news that perhaps the United States or the world might be distracted by events in other parts of the planet, I would say distraction is impossible, because it is our view, our strong view, and the reality that this century and the story of the next 50 years will largely be written here, in this region, in this part of the world. But because of your youth, because of your two-thirds of global growth will happen in this region, it is impossible to ignore it, sideline, and we have no intention of doing so. In fact, we intend it to be a key component of our engagement with the world, is to be engaged here in a region where we've been engaged for a very long time. And we have strong partnerships we have no intention of abandoning, but rather strengthening and building upon.
For the first time in history, a Sri Lankan inventor, Dr. Nadisha Chandrasena and her team, Urban Inventors, received a World Intellectual Property Organization Global Award today under the environment sector for the anti-flood drain system, Smart Drain.
The World Intellectual Property Organization is the United Nations agency that serves the world's innovators and creators, ensuring that their ideas travel safely to the market and improve lives everywhere. Selected from a record 780 applications across 95 countries, this year's 10 winners exemplify how IP can be strategically used to scale solutions to some of the world's greatest challenges. For the first time in history, a Sri Lankan inventor, Dr. Nadisha Chandrasena and her team, Urban Inventors, received a World Intellectual Property Organization Global Award today under the environment sector for the anti-flood drain system, Smart Drain.
In the Global East, we have limited finances for stormwater drains. In the Global West, drains are funded but still struggles with the management and climate unpredictability. In both locations, the poor hit hardest. That pain, that inequality kept me awake. I work for a drain that never clogs, a system that sends alerts when the flow condition worsens. I spent 2/3 of my life make this work happen. Together with our team, we studied the method, built the model and product, secured the IP, and now deliver city-specific solutions, custom-made stormwater drains for the cities in both Global West and East. What started as my ambition has become my team's mission, my country's promise, and my region's collective dream. Thank you, Sri Lanka, for giving us free education and free healthcare and brought us to this global stage.
Smart Drain is a patented stormwater drainage system designed to prevent urban flooding even when conventional drains are blocked by waste. Its unique structure allows continuous water flow while filtering out debris, making it ideal for densely populated areas. Targeting municipalities and city planners, Smart Drain's innovation is protected through design and utility patents, offering a practical, scalable solution for climate-resilient infrastructure.
And that's a wrap of your news for tonight.
Thank you for joining us. Good night.